We have a quorum. I need to actually like go back and find the agenda. Now, let's see.
It's in that same email.
So the minutes, I'm sure is the first thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So did everyone get, I just sent, because I had forgotten to send the minutes out with the reminder, so I just sent it to like the official committee members. So did everyone on the committee get the minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we do July 21st first? So looking at the minutes, they look very familiar, like we already went over them. I don't know if it was a formatting issue, that was why we had to go over them again, but they're not posted on the
Right.
website, so I think we should,
Certainly looks, to my memory, is accurate in what we discussed.
okay. Anyone have any corrections to it? Grammar errors? Emily, you're raising your eyebrows. Oh, you're muted.
Oh my God.
That's the way
If I
it
could
is.
see them, I'm sure I could
Oh,
come up
I'm
with
sorry.
something. No. Don't worry.
Okay. Steve, did you have any corrections to the July minutes?
No, I was not in attendance, so I
Okay.
wouldn't be appropriate to make corrections.
All right. So those of us who were in attendance at the July 21st meeting, motion is motion to approve. Is that what we do? Is that the official?
Yes.
Yeah, I think now you have to call each member.
Okay. Dan,
I approve it.
Happy,
Approved.
Liza,
I wasn't there.
I think that we just need 3 of us who were there to approve it. So I was there, I approve.
Okay.
All right, so then next is August.
I'll move they be approved as printed.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Steve, I forgot. I was looking at the Zoom screen and I forgot to ask you. So Steve also approves. Okay.
No, I'm talking about August now.
Oh, August, okay.
He was, I approve August if we're at that point.
The only thing for August is there's a part that's, I think Happy wrote them, and it says, "My husband has created a poster."
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we could just change it to
Which
his name.
paragraph is that in?
It's in the third, sort of.
Okay. Okay. I'll change that to say Happy's husband. Is that
Yeah.
acceptable?
Yes.
I approve.
Okay. Dan,
I approve.
Liza,
There.
Steve,
Sorry.
approves, Steve approves, I approve. Okay, we'll submit those. And then November, should be a little bit easier, more recent memory.
I'll move they be approved as printed.
Okay,
Approved. Second.
happy, yes. Okay. Dan,
I wasn't there.
okay.
I
Liza,
was there. Approved.
all right, I approve too.
I was
Okay.
not.
All right. Okay. So moving on from the minutes, news about Concord farms and farmers. What's going on with everyone?
We're selling our last crops this week.
Yep.
You said someone?
We're at Barrett's Mill, we're selling our last crops this week. We just cleared out anything that was usable from our high tunnels, and we have some stuff in storage that we're gonna sell on Saturday, and then we're wiping our hands of 2020.
What were your last crops?
We have we had some kale. We still have kale, but in the high tunnel, but very little now. Salanova salad mix, and some spinach in the high tunnel. But then we still have, carrots and beets and leeks and a few other things, smaller amounts of things in storage. But
Liza, are you guys still selling off the porch, or is that done?
It's pretty much done. I mean, the weather kind of, this whole week is, we're not gonna put it out. It's too
Yeah.
cold. The parking lot is just too dangerous when it's
Yeah.
snowing.
yeah.
So no, we don't have much left though. We only have like turnips, basically.
Yeah.
Daikon radish. Anybody want any daikon radish?
Well, ours all actually just like split and rotted, so
Oh,
we don't have any.
We're still cleaning up some squash.
You're still cleaning up squash, Steve?
Yeah, I haven't been out to look at the garlic, but I'm a little worried. What do people think? Is it been too warm for it?
I was kind of worried. Ours was like up an awful lot. I don't know if that was the really bad thing that, it's 3 or 4, 2 or 3 inches tall. I don't know if it's gonna die or is it gonna.
it won't die, but it might not be as big as you hope.
Right.
Might be at the bolt early in the spring.
Huh.
When did you all plant your garlic?
God, when was it? It was like beginning of end of October, I guess.
Yeah, we're about the same.
Yeah, us
We
too.
most it good. That probably
We plant about mid-October.
Huh. But then we had such warm weather there for a while. It was weird.
Yeah.
We planted our garlic so far away from our house that we haven't looked at it. So I don't know.
Don't
We could
worry.
be in trouble.
We mulched ours immediately after planting, but our mulch, which we get from somebody who I won't say the name of the farm, but it was for the first time full of rye seed.
Oh no.
And we actually I decided to go through and weed it ahead of time because either you're gonna have to do it now or, next spring.
Yeah.
And it might be easier now, but it looked like a lawn kind of,
Oh no.
yeah. But who knows? We'll see.
I guess that's a good reason to use oat straw.
I would say, I was thinking the same thing,
Yeah.
as that dies every year, it won't survive.
Too.
Which you don't do, Steve?
Right.
Yeah, I'm now thinking, knowing that it's going to be 11 degrees overnight, I'm wishing we'd put a second layer on our strawberries.
They have many leaves showing?
I'm thinking our fall planted ones. Also very far from the house, so haven't been checked on recently. But they did not too long ago look very green. But
That's not good. They should be wintering.
Through the mulch?
through the row cover. Yeah.
Oh, Oh, you put a remake on?
Yeah, because we plant them in plastic.
Oh, they'll be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah.
We usually do 2 layers though.
We do. Yeah,
We-
this is a
we
good
did that one
reminder.
year. We used remake one year a long time ago, but we had too much trouble with a deer prancing through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we put up a fence around ours because we had problems with the coyotes actually ripping the row cover,
Yep.
or trying to get at the mice underneath. Yeah.
Well, we may regret it this year. I've never mulched for 8 years now, and I've always had good garlic. So this may be the year that with the growth that's on them now. I mean, we do it in black plastic, but I tried mulching the first couple of years, and our area is so wide open that it just blows away. So we'll see.
Yeah. Is there any other news of note for farms? I have one thing. I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the last meeting, but I just joined the board for the Concord Housing Foundation. And they're still very much interested in the idea of affordable seasonal farm worker housing and just affordable farmer housing. So I'm very new to the board, so I don't really know. I'm not up to speed on everything yet, but that's some news.
Congratulations. I think they were looking for somebody, weren't they?
Yeah,
This
I don't know if
perfect.
it's congratulations or
Good luck.
you get grouped into that.
I think you will bring an invaluable perspective.
It seems
think
like
it's
a really
terrific.
great group of people. They're really nice.
One thing that you might be interested in, we've still been fighting the problem with the H2A business and the livestock proximity.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking at another house possibly to buy in Concord, and talking with a building inspector, he mentioned that farm housing is permitted on farms or on lots adjacent to farms. But generally in town, there aren't supposed to be more than 3 unrelated residents in a house.
Oh. But there's an exception for if it's farm worker housing,
Only on the farm.
only if it's on the farm. So it couldn't, so farm worker housing off the farm property is
We have
subject
to have a
to the,
variance of some sort.
interesting. Interesting. BJ,
I'm not sure if I should wait till, I'm looking at the agenda till public comment, but the reason I joined it tonight was actually this topic is, can I chat for a moment?
yeah, absolutely, please do.
I came to the Ag Committee, it was probably a couple years ago, and one of the things of interest was some of the housing assets that the national park has. So I was just dropping in to give a quick update to some of the things we've been working on related to the housing assets. This past summer, the park hosted 2 business interns, MBA students who spent about 10 weeks with us working on collecting information for a leasing strategy for the park. So we've now more definitively identified a total of 12 assets, 12 structures within the park for lease. 2 of them are currently leased, although those leases are coming up for renewal in 21, and 2 additional houses will be added to that. So at some point, probably mid to late spring, we will be putting out requests for proposals for leases for 4 different houses. of which 2 are in Lincoln and 2 are in Concord. So can share that. Of course, those particular type of leases are for fair market value, which is what we attempt to get, is at least fair market value from the park perspective. If we can get more, that's why it's a competitive bid. That's great. So fair market value probably doesn't work that well for farmers, or I should not, for some it might, but there is that. I've also approached the town manager and initiated a conversation with the town manager about the park's interest in having conversations with the town related to the idea of potentially doing a longer term lease arrangement with the town, or to explore it. And that could potentially be a house, a farm stand, and acreage packaged together, very similar to the Barrett Mill Farm operation, kind of creating a clone, so to speak, where, and again, this is just to explore to see if there's interest on the town's part. The town could potentially do a long-term lease of these assets and then turn around and use those assets in a similar sort of manner, and or 1 or 2 houses that could potentially be used for affordable housing. So just reaching out that the park has done a fair amount of work around that area. The other piece of the equation is GOA, the Great American Outdoors Act, which passed this past summer. It'll provide a significant amount of influx of funding to the national parks for preservation, maintenance, and repair rehab, of which we do have a fair amount of deferred maintenance at Minuteman. But there's the potential possibility that some of that funding could maybe go towards some of these structures for improvements. And what the park is interested in exploring is leveraging opportunities if there are partners out there who are willing to match some of that funding. And again, that's an exploratory conversation that I've started with the town manager. But knowing that the Ag Committee was interested in this topic and it has the potential to connect, I wanted to drop in this evening and give you all that quick update.
Wow.
Yay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, PJ.
So would a long-term lease still be tied into fair market? And so it would need to be subsidized?
Potentially, correct. Yep.
There wouldn't, yeah, okay.
But maybe there's ways that the town, I mean, that would be something that the town would need to explore.
Right.
Is there, I thought I remembered in previous discussions about the fair market lease, that if it was through a nonprofit, that was a way to get around that, or is that?
The nonprofit side, which the town would qualify. So normally we are required to put these out for bid and to get the high, in this case, it's kind of the opposite of a government contract for work where we try to get low bid. When we're trying to get revenue, we're trying to get the highest bid we can. But in this case, what a nonprofit or the town, being the partner or the lessee, we just need to get at least fair market value. And then there's a way to do this without putting it out for bid, meaning we could just work directly with the town, or maybe an agency representative of the town, for example, like the Concord Housing Authority. I know there's 2 or 3 different groups within the town, so it could be a subset of the town. I see Terry's nodding her head.
Right. Yes, I'm Carrie Ackmer. I'm the select board liaison, and I'm not speaking for the select board, but these initiatives sound really exciting. Both BJ and Liza, what you mentioned being on the Housing Foundation, did you say?
Yes, lease.
Lease.
I should change,
Sorry.
change the name from saying Barrett's Mill to my name.
Okay, great. So anyway, I would like to suggest that you consider having some kind of a joint meeting in the future where the ag committee members could say what your needs are for farm workers.
Mhm.
Winter would be a really good time because you could start planning for it. And also present would be some of these housing groups, like the Housing Foundation or the CHDC, who are developing housing. And so they could know about the leveraged funds. For example, if you have to pay fair market rate, maybe it could be leveraged with some of the donations or other items, whatever, that they have at the CHDC. So it could be a joint meeting this winter to kind of plan for the summer.
And that's exactly what the town manager suggested to me. So I believe that we're exchanging emails about kind of figuring out how to set up such a joint meeting. And I know a member of the Ag Committee would also be on that list. So I did email the town manager and said I was dropping in this evening and was just going to do a brief mention of this. So I hope I'm not getting too far out in front of him, but I am trying to move this opportunity along, and it would be great for multiple reasons to try to get some conversations started this winter. So I just so the park is now in a position where we're more ready to move and advance conversation. Or move beyond just conversation is what I'm saying. Taken a couple of years to kind of assess things and had a couple different studies done. So we're now looking to engage. So
BJ, did I understand correctly? So sorry, my daughter wandered in when you were in the middle of speaking about it. Is the park more interested in having like farmers who are also having their operation based out of the park, or is the possibility of having farm worker housing for farm workers around, like in Concord or Lincoln, also a possibility?
I would say both. The park, as you all know, has a lot of agricultural acreage, which I think at the moment we have 8 or 9 different farmers that are working within the park under special use ag permits. We have additional acreage that we would like to see used, and we do have 2 vacant farm stands that could be great to see reactivated. So again, one option would be to package some land with a farm stand and a house. But we do have other houses that could potentially just be modified for farm worker housing. I mean, the park is excited about the idea of keeping it connected to agriculture, but there's a few different ways to do that. So I would say the park is open to multiple ideas, as well as the affordable housing idea.
Great. That's exciting.
I'll go back on mute.
Thank you, BJ. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I have to peel off at 8 o'clock too, so I don't
Sure.
remember how late these go, but
Well, on Zoom they've been ending quicker, so
thanks for allowing me to speak.
yeah, thank you.
Lots to think about.
Sorry, what was that, Steve?
Lots to think about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So should we be actively following up with the town manager, or should we be expecting to hear from the town manager about getting an ag committee member on this?
I may be in front of the town manager by sharing this with
Sure.
you all.
Don't say anything.
So I will make sure that somebody from the ag committee is invited to the meeting. So stand by for a bit longer till you get an invite.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other news to share before we move on to the next agenda item? Should we move on to the spring forum?
Sure.
Great. So we had talked last meeting about various alternative options. Among them, pushing it back into April so that we could do some outdoor outreach activities. We had also talked about the possibility of having a talk on Zoom. Does anyone have any thoughts or additional ideas that they'd like to share before we continue the discussion about it? Or
I was thinking we might do both.
uh-huh.
I think we could have a Zoom presentation either as a prelude to preview or a report on what happened on the farm afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But do on-farm things and a Zoom either before or after.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts about types of on-farm activities that might be appealing?
I think the later the better, but it could
Yeah.
get into intelligent planning and things. I think even if that went into early May, it wouldn't be a bad thing. The different circumstances.
Yeah. Joe or Emily, as non-farmers, do you have things that you would suggest would be like interesting for the general public to see or learn about? The types of topics that you'd be interested to see discussed or demonstrated on farms in the spring?
Well, I think just understanding what's going on is a source of real interest to me. I'm thinking about kids, though. I'm thinking, oh, all this open space to run around in and what a mess that would be. But maybe there's something that could be done by way of scavenger hunt. I don't know what's happening in the fields or on the perimeters in the spring that, and I don't know whether it's worth the risk with, enthusiastic feet crushing, seedlings. But I think
to limit the number of people, certainly how we did like
yes,
in the fall.
yeah. I think from last month's conversation, just the appeal of the opportunity to be outside is so strong, so compelling, and particularly by the time we get to May, I'm guessing will even more so. So, I mean, I seem to remember this feeling that we had to have the forum in March because come April 1st, you all were just absolutely up to your ears in stuff to do and hard to be outward facing at that point. But so I think if that fits into your ideas about bringing people, it's wonderful outreach.
I don't want to speak for other farmers on the committee, but for us, certainly, April is still a time when we have the ability to do a little extra like outreach.
Yeah.
May is tough, but
I think the other thing about March was that it was building, it was before anything was happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We wanted to like plant a seed in people's minds about, going to farms and whatever. I don't think it's that critical. I mean, I agree that April, May, being outside, you can have just as much impact or whatever. I mean, I don't think it needs to be in March.
Yeah.
And the events seem more seem more worth the effort when we can do, like Liza has the website set up and we could do advanced signups, because I don't like the feeling that sometimes, with the farm tours, it'd be like, are 0 people are going to come, or 30 people? Like
Right.
both would not be good. But if we could sign up 10 people and know that it was going to be under control, that 10 people wanted to come, so it was worth setting it up for them, or 15, whatever, depending on the activity, that feels more manageable to me.
Well, and Steve's idea of filming something and maybe presenting it. I mean, Liza, didn't you all for the farm tours do a day in the life of Hutchins Farm? And that was posted to the website. I didn't actually see it,
Filmed.
but
I'm not that great at technology.
okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
It worked. That was our goal. It worked. We did it on Instagram, and it worked really well on Instagram. And then I was able to transfer that and make it work for Facebook, but I was not able to make it work as a standalone video. It is beyond my capabilities.
But the whole world is on Instagram. Why worry about a website when you can do it brilliantly on Instagram?
I mean, I think a lot of people are on Instagram, but a lot of people aren't. So it did feel like I cut off a lot of people that I wanted to get it to a place where it could stand alone, but it did not work at all. I spent way too many hours down the YouTube route, and it's beyond me. If that's something that like we would need to hire somebody to do that. Like I can't do that.
It seems like, and I don't know if there's like an appetite or interest for this, but it seems like if we were going to have a component on a virtual component, that like doing it via Zoom might be easier than trying to like put together a video or do like a live stream of something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think live stream is probably more straightforward, but I've never done that. So I wouldn't at all want to sign us up for something like that.
That's scary too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The town could help with that. I mean, an ag committee meeting could be one day in some wonderfully open field with a multiplicity of green showing faintly in the background. I mean, I can see it.
I was going to ask the Minuteman Media Network, would they be willing to create a piece? Like,
yeah,
film, like, doing drop-bys of some of the Concord farmers, and maybe they'd be willing to do something.
I like that, especially if we're not having to create the content ourselves. That might be a good, yeah.
What if we had like a speaker or a subject that maybe is done by the media, and that is the first part of the event, and then you would have signups. Let's say we have 50 places, and they would be divided by all the farms, and we would be doing the same things, but at maybe different times of day, or a different day, a Saturday or not a Sunday, or Sunday not a Saturday, so that everybody who has gotten inspired by the media would come and do a hands-on thing a day or two later.
I have a dumb question. What's the media?
Well, if we did something with BJ, for
Yeah,
instance,
I just
it would
wasn't
by-
sure what's Minuteman. It's a park?
Is that the local access?
Sorry, the Minuteman Media, I think
Yeah.
that's the acronym for the local access TV
Gotcha.
thing that a former park employee retired, but is now working at Minuteman Media doing
Nice.
their filming and stuff. So I know they have the technology.
Yeah.
They've come to the park to film things to put on the local access channel. So it was more thinking like maybe they're going around interviewing farmers
Yeah.
or something and creating a short piece for the local access TV.
Yeah, what if we did something like putting it with the park, saying, what did the colonials grow that we are also growing? And maybe that's green peas. And so we have a workshop or whatever you want to call it. And let's plant green peas. And these are the green peas that are available. Just, you choose what you're interested in. And you would go to one of the farms and you would do a 6-pack of green peas.
Can we not do peas though?
Well, that's up to you, bud.
Why not peas?
I hate peas. Peas suck.
Something to,
Peas
Steve,
don't ever perform in this climate. Peas
What about
suck.
fava beans?
No.
Oh, definitely not.
One of the Boston TV channels to do this.
Steve is asking if there's a possibility that we can access one of the Boston TV channels to do this.
Chronicle.
I was just thinking we finally had it in at the local access one. We talked about it and now BJ can finally get us in.
Steve's asking us to aim high.
Jeez. Well, we could get the rights and sell them. How about that?
You could do the spring one with Minuteman, and it will be so
By
splendid. It can then be marketed
Mhm.
to Boston and
Just in
national.
time for the Oscars.
Right.
BJ, is this a person at the Minuteman media that you would feel comfortable putting us in touch with?
Yep, I'll drop him an email, and should I copy you, Lise?
That would be great.
Connect you? Yeah, I'll do an email intro and suggest the idea to him.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it would be great if we could have whatever topic that we're kind of like replicating on different farms be fairly broad so that each farm could kind of do it their own way, rather, like not so that it's like seeding one particular crop or, like one particular type of tillage. Like it could be like a broad topic so that everyone could kind of do it their own way or do it a little differently.
Mhm.
Just seating.
Yeah, it could be seeding. Yeah, and you could seed whatever you want.
Right.
I think that,
Uh,
no, no,
The Concord has more farms than any other town within 20 miles of Boston.
Yeah, we do have a lot more farms. That's true.
We could pull out that passport again.
Yeah. Emily, I liked what you had mentioned earlier about the thought of like a scavenger hunt as like, I feel like it could be something that would be easily tailored to something that you could do at home too, as like it wouldn't necessarily be very farm specific. It could be like looking for growing things, like signs of spring in your house,
How
in your
many
yard.
different bugs? How many different bugs?
Yeah,
How many
Pink
different
bugs.
ones?
Bugs.
bugs, yeah.
And caterpillars, yeah.
Just don't
think-
bring them.
I think that Minuteman Media Network is always looking for content, and they'd be really happy to get this. Also, producing the content can be a very time-consuming thing, and a lot of us don't have time, we don't have the skills, but the high school students do, and they're looking for community service projects. So a high school student or a college intern could, come around the farms and in a few days make a beautiful video that Minuteman Media Network would be thrilled to show many times.
Joe, did you have something that you wanted to add?
Just to endorse it, these are very good ideas. And I very much like the idea of some sort of a produced, I'll call it a video. I don't know what else to call it. That would visit the farms and do some demonstration of what the farming is going on, followed by an invitation to show up someplace and actually do planting hands-on and get your hands in the dirt and actually putting the seeds in the ground and feel what the soil should feel like, but to do some actual planting after sort of an introductory video that would show what the farmers are doing or would be doing, something like that. I like it.
how do we find the high school and college students? Do you think that the TV station knows them, or?
They might, the high school principal would know also. If you can't find a good contact person, let me know and I'll
Okay.
help you figure that out.
Thanks.
Does anyone
How
have?
many high school students
a-
out of the loop?
I do. I could probably figure out.
Are they
He's a recent high school
technologically
student.
adept?
No. But he would be able to guide you towards the faculty member who would know who was.
Yeah, that's what we
The high
need.
school group at
Yeah,
the high
That's what you
school,
need.
there was a high school group at the high school called Rivers and Revolutions, and they sent a contingent over to help at White Pond one summer. And they did a science project all around White Pond, but basically they were, it seemed like that group might potentially be able to help.
I think that's a good idea. I think they did something at Marshall Farm last year or the year before. So Michael Goodwin is the teacher of that program. And I don't know whether it's a year-long thing or just part of the year.
Well, perhaps BJ's contact already knows these people.
Yeah.
Are there, we talked about like seating as a general topic. Are there other ideas of the general themes or topics for the spring? I mean, seating is a very broad one,
Yeah,
but that would be nice to have something very broad.
I think a lot of people get seed catalogs, but maybe they don't know how to read them. So one topic could be how to understand what's in your seed catalog.
That's a program you should do right now. Right?
Right.
No, don't give people too much information. I'm worried that the seed companies are going to get bought out.
But they're going to realize how much work goes before those little plants that they buy.
Right.
So it sounds like a general topic of seeding. Is that
Well, and
seeding and planting?
seeding and planting, and like, what tools do you use in the spring,
Mhm.
or machines, or
Which
and
do
are
you
they
see
are there
do
any
you plant?
specific? One year, the Concord Museum had an exhibition that included a room full of farm tools. There were more farm tools. Do you remember that, Terry? And it was remarkable. I mean, that people had the time to think up with such specificity these particular tools. And for all I know, that remains the case. So that's partly why I raise it. I'm curious. What tools do you use?
BJ, would the park be willing to do something on colonial tools?
Possibly. I was actually just, sorry, I was only partially listening because I was emailing Phil. Possibly, yeah. I didn't hear the full context of the question.
Yeah, no, we were just talking about having the theme of the spring be seeding and planting and the tools you use to accomplish the seeding and planting. And I think it would be really cool to have like a historical perspective of that if the park would be willing to do something related to that.
We might be. I'm not sure that we really have anything in our collections around that, and I'm not sure if I have somebody on staff with that historic expertise, but I can ask. What I was just typing on my phone to Phil was the idea of maybe within the video Brian Donahue, who wrote the great book on the history of ag in the colonial era, that it could be maybe part of the video could be some interview with him, kind of the historic within Concord, and then like what's happening in Concord today with
Yeah.
a tour and interview of farmers.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had him speak at an ag forum a couple years ago.
Right.
So.
Well, you know, for all I know, the new Concord Museum, which I haven't yet gone into, has a permanent exhibition of farm tools, you know, and the videographer
Mhm.
could just sweep through
Mhm.
for an image at least. I don't know. This is all sounding very grand,
Yeah.
getting more complicated, but very interesting.
I feel like the Chronicle episode that came to our farm kind of did that. Like they were tying in the Minuteman Park was like part of the same segment,
Yeah, it
and
was
they
mostly
did the
about
three.
the Minuteman Park, but it was, but
Right.
then they
And
stopped.
then they came to see what was happening now across the street. But so it'd be like the opposite, more about the farms with like a touch of history. That'd be cool.
Well, I could ask my neighbor who is a member of well, she works at the museum, if there is a permanent exhibit of farm tools or if they would be available for some kind of special exhibit. And I can get back to you on that.
That'd be great.
I think Brooke is quite involved with the Shelburne Museum in Vermont. They have quite an enormous collection of farm equipment.
Did you say Brooke, Steve?
Yeah,
Brooke Redmond? Is that?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that next.
That would make sense. I mean, Brooke is very involved with Shelburne Farms.
I think so.
But I mean, could I just ask, what tools do you use today? I mean, in the spring?
Nothing that was used 100 years ago.
Same ones?
No.
No.
They
So
might
I
be
mean,
similar.
Asparagus cutter.
Ah, asparagus cutter. Interesting. Yeah, I think there's probably a wide variety of tools that we all use for.
I think that would be so intriguing and interesting to at least my little girl who's coming to your farm.
Cool. All right, so we will contact the Minuteman Media Network about producing a segment and then have that lead up to a bunch of small events, outdoor events at several farms around town, and we'll kind of each tailor our farm event to our particular farm, of course, but something related to how you do your seeding and planting and what tools or what you use or whether you don't use tools at all.
And you'll be reaching out to other farms. So,
Yes, yes,
I mean, maybe Marshall Farms
for sure.
will have baby goats or something.
Yeah.
They have a good greenhouse that is usable for this
Yeah.
type of thing.
Right.
Great. Well,
Lots of great ideas.
yeah, coming together. All right, so we will, should we continue the discussion on this next meeting? And
Yeah, in between this meeting and next meeting, is that when we should send out an email to all the farms to
Yeah.
sort of try to collect people's
Yeah.
plans if they aren't going to come to the next one?
Yeah.
Or people can just come to the meeting and bring it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can coordinate that. Maybe I will be asking some of you to contact particular farms. Do you have to leave, BJ? Thank you so much for coming.
Bye.
Yeah, so I may ask some of you to contact farms that you might
Yeah.
have, like, happy. I might ask you to contact Shimoni, for instance, to coordinate with them. But
I'd be happy to do some. I think it'd be
Yeah.
great if we could get all the farmers on the next meeting.
yeah, for sure. We'll try.
We should contact, the greenhouse at Brigham.
Yes.
That's also another great, he has a machine, he has all that he could show, automated seeding.
Would it be best to go through Chip or Steve? Do you have a
I can stop and see Chris, either one.
great?
Yeah,
Well,
yes.
Chris, great.
Tell them we'll make them famous with our TV segment.
We should have a red carpet then.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Should we move on?
Sure.
Let's see. Other business. We covered a lot of other business already, but is there other business?
Yeah.
Should we move on to public comment?
I think you've had a fair amount of public comment too already.
We welcome any more comments. So.
Dan, when do you do your seeding?
Well, we grow most things in the greenhouse, and so we start like alliums in early February, some of them. So, my mind is shot, so I don't remember. I mean, I basically have the old calendars. I get out and look and figure out exactly when things, but most things are started and transplanted out into the field, other than things like obviously carrots and beets and beans and peas. We do stuff like that. When do other people start?
We start our greenhouse like the first week in March, but we usually don't seed outside until early April.
Right.
yeah, we're late February.
Late
End
February.
of February. Yeah.
We see leeks and onions and celeriac pretty early,
Yeah, it'll take a long
and
time.
also perennial herbs. Which we don't grow to sell, we grow to sell the plants, but those all get started probably first, second week of February. But I don't plan to get in the field until mid-April. Last year we seeded our peas, I think it was like the first week in March, maybe the second week in March. And then it got really cold and the peas germinated and they just sat there
Oh, wow.
for like a month. And they didn't do, I mean, I thought it was gonna be the best pea year ever, but it sucked like every other pea year. So, I mean, we don't live in places where peas grow.
First, second planting's coming at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our string beans, the first planting died.
Cold.
It was so dry. It was rough.
Well, I mean, this would be a wonderful teaser perhaps for our videographer coming along in February to the greenhouses.
Link to our Zoom meeting and
Right, they just
Right.
take a
Lightning
a camera of
road.
a screen.
just complaining about how hard farming is.
That works for everyone.
All right. Any other public comment? Should we set the next meeting date?
I'm going to pipe up with one public comment.
Please do.
I want to encourage faithful adherence to this committee's name. I've already put in my vote along these lines to lease, namely the Agriculture Committee. I notice that the town is very want to describe it as the Agricultural Committee. But the name is agriculture, and I think that, that solidity of the noun is so much better than the adjectival agricultural in
I
front of
agree with
committee.
you.
So if we could all, and everybody just enlist them as well. I mean, Ag Committee is great,
Right.
but if you have to spell it out, it's agriculture.
That's
Yeah,
also
sure.
reminding me that I just got an email on Monday that we need to submit our annual report to the town. So I just today was reading the report that Happy wrote last year. So I was just going to base it off of that and submit, circulate a draft of it before the next meeting. But obviously we have to mention the pandemic. Are there other things of note that you think should go into any of you think should go into the report this year?
Drought.
What was that?
Drought.
Yes. Yeah. Drought. Take notes. I've almost forgotten what happened this year.
I'm taking notes, Lisa.
Pestilence, drought.
Could happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, the pandemic has just so shaped the season.
Yeah.
I actually think an interesting thing is the way that it affected demand, particularly early in the season for us. I mean, we had demand strong the whole season, but it was crazy early on with people. I don't know if they were thinking they were going to grow all their own food, or I don't know, but they're buying so much compost and potting soil and plants. It was insane.
Yeah.
It was great,
It'd be interesting to see how all the new gardeners made out, whether they come back next year or not.
I think we're going to have a lot of new customers.
Yeah.
Gardening didn't work out for.
Well, one of my gardening classes a few years ago, I thought was unsuccessful because when I finished the class, a couple of the people came in and subscribed for the CSA.
That sounds hard.
It's a way to build a CSA.
Yeah. Complain about farming and
Make it really complicated.
yeah. All right, so I will use the Happy's report from last year as a framework, but obviously there'll be some very different things to discuss in there, including the drought, the pandemic,
Seems
increased
like the
demand.
water tables come back in the last few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would hope so, given all the rain.
What?
I just said Melissa just went canoeing. The river's high enough to go canoeing
It
again.
is.
Yeah.
Should we look at the calendar for the next meeting?
Yeah.
I'll try not to schedule it for a holiday again. Sorry about that.
How would you know?
Okay.
Yom Tov.
So the second Thursday in January is the 9th. Does that work for people? I should double check and make sure that there's no big events for the town then. I mean, not that there's big events.
I don't think it's the 9th.
Oh, I'm looking at 2020. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're correct.
I see.
You want to go back there?
Yeah, I don't.
No.
Moving forward, come on.
I'll redo.
So January 14th then,
Mhm.
Okay.
be the second Thursday.
That's good.
It's not on a holiday, but I don't know, the 18th is Martin Luther King Day, so it's like the Thursday before the long weekend. I don't know if that matters to anybody.
It'll be a question of whether they're in school at all or not, so.
True.
Well, let's say the 14th, and then we'll see.
Weekend.
Sorry, what was that, Steve?
I say Thursday is early to start the weekend.
Not in the winter for a farmer.
Yeah.
All right, I will just double check the town calendar, but we'll set January 14th as the date.
Mhm.
Tentatively.
We have to figure out a way to get Steve on Zoom.
Yeah,
He's been there.
he's been there. It's just not working
Yeah,
today.
I've been on about every day. I don't know why.
They kicked him off.
It adds
More
to more
Zoom than we
mystery
do.
to have you on a speakerphone though.
Excess.
All right,
Okay, happy holidays to
yeah.
everyone.
motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Lise.
Hey,
All right,
good holidays.
Yeah, good holidays.
yes, happy holidays.
Thank you.
All right, thanks
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Evening, thank you. There you go.